Recently, rumors about Foxconn layoffs have been circulating. Chinese media visited Yushin New City, a living area for employees of Foxconn's largest iPhone production factory, Zhengzhou's Science Park. The area was found to be desolate. As the proportion of iPhones produced in India increases, the number of employees at Foxconn's Zhengzhou factory has greatly reduced. Some employees said that there are more than half fewer people than in previous years. Yushin New City, located on Linkhong Street in the Zhengzhou Airport Economic Zone, was one of the earliest residential areas for Foxconn employees after the company entered the economic zone over 10 years ago. Its bustling level is seen as an indicator of Foxconn's operations in Zhengzhou. Yushin New City is divided into north and south areas by a commercial street, with more than 50 residential buildings in total. According to a report by First Financial on April 14, Feng Zhen, pseudonym, a warehouse employee who has been working at Foxconn for almost 10 years, said that during the peak employment period at Foxconn, nearly 100,000 people lived here. There were over 100 shops and stores, including restaurants, internet cafes, supermarkets, KTVs, and hotels, scattered throughout the commercial street. Recently, there have been various rumors circulating about Foxconn in Zhengzhou. On April 6 and April 13, journalists from First Financial visited Yushin City twice, but did not see any Foxconn employees entering or leaving the area. At one point, the number of employees at Foxconn's Zhengzhou campus reached as high as 300,000. To accommodate more personnel, several dormitory areas were built in the airport area. Li Shen, pseudonym, who used to run a noodle restaurant on the commercial street, said that a few years ago, when there were many employees living in Yushin City, his business was doing well. After deducting rent, wages, and ingredient costs, he was still able to make a monthly profit of 2,000 to 3,000 yuan. Now, the commercial pedestrian street in Yushin City has become empty, with hardly any people, and almost all of the stores on both sides have closed down, some even displaying messages of being up for rent or transfer. The most direct reason for the lack of people is the decrease in the number of employees. On the morning of April 13, at the Foxconn Zhengzhou Science Park, several Foxconn employees stated that even compared to the peak period of more than 300,000 employees, the number of Foxconn employees currently on duty has still decreased significantly from last year. Currently there are less than half as many people compared to the previous year, said Jianjun, pseudonym, who works in a department around Foxconn. He explained that in previous years, March and April were the off-season for labor, but this year the number of workers is even less. On one hand, after completing orders, Foxconn reduced the return fees, recruitment bonuses, and many people left. On the other hand, many new products are still in the development stage and there are no arrangements for overtime work, resulting in a decrease in the amount of labor needed. The third reason is that some production capacity has been transferred to India and other places, which has reduced the demand for labor. Jianjun pointed out that Foxconn had previously built outsourcing factories in India, but the scale was small. In recent years, the expansion has become greater, and they have started producing mobile phones. To make the Indian factory operate quickly, Foxconn has sent some department managers from Zhengzhou, Shenzhen, Taiwan and other places to India to be responsible for recruiting and training local workers. Several employees working at Foxconn also confirmed that there are currently only 60,000 to 70,000 employees still working in the park. Several workers working in the Zhengzhou park of Foxconn confirmed that there are currently no colleagues living in Yushin New City, and some employees who used to live there have been moved to other dormitory areas for easier management. Currently, Yushin New City is undergoing internal renovations to prepare for the influx of workers during the peak season. The number of people now is more than half less than in previous years, said Jianjun, alias, who works in a department around Foxconn. Normally, the months of March and April are the slow season for labor, but this year the number of people is much less than previous years. On one hand, after Foxconn completed its orders, it lowered the recruitment bonus, so many people quit. On the other hand, many new products are still in the optimization and development phase, so there are fewer employees needed. As for the third reason, some production capacity has been transferred to India, reducing the demand for labor. Jianjun pointed out that Foxconn previously had a contract factory in India, but it was small in scale. In recent years, the expansion has become larger, and it has begun to produce mobile phones. In order to make the Indian factory operate quickly, Foxconn also dispatched department heads from Zhengzhou, Shenzhen, Taiwan and other areas to India to recruit and train local workers. Many employees working in Foxconn said that there are currently only 60 to 70,000 employees working in the park. Several workers working in the Zhengzhou park of Foxconn confirmed that there are currently no colleagues living in Yuhuanu City. Those who used to live there have been relocated to other dormitory areas for convenience of management. Currently, Yuhuanu City is undergoing internal renovations to accommodate employees during peak season. After a year of struggling, the business may only be slightly better for a month or two, complained Yang Yan, alias, a shop owner who opened a store on the commercial street. When Yuhuanu City was first built, she had high expectations and thought that she could make a living from the tens of thousands of Foxconn employees by running a small business. So she and her husband pooled their money to buy a storefront on the commercial street, thinking that they would no longer have to work for a landlord. Guo Gang, alias, is one of the few shop owners on the commercial street who still has an open store, but he said that this so-called store is no longer in business. During the epidemic lockdown last year, Foxconn experienced a situation where employees escaped from quarantine. Since then, Foxconn has had difficulty in recruiting workers. In addition, Apple is accelerating the relocation of its supply chain from China. Currently, it produces nearly 7% of its iPhones in India, and the estimated production of iPhones in India in 2021 is only 1% of its global production. In recent years, Foxconn has gradually expanded its production capacity to Vietnam, Mexico and other places. On April 6, the first Zhengzhou-produced BYD car was launched in the Xingang New Energy Industry Park in the Airport Economic Zone. According to the plan, BYD will invest nearly 10 billion yuan in the zone to build a new factory with an annual output of 1 million vehicles. In the future, the zone will be centered around leading new energy vehicle companies, lay out the entire industry chain, and build a new energy vehicle industry cluster in the zone. On March 26, the China Development High-Level Forum 2023 annual meeting hosted by the State Council Development Research Center was held in Beijing. Party media video showed that about 70 foreign executives attended the forum, including Apple CEO Tim Cook. On March 27, Li Chang again expressed openness to the Communist Party, and also thanked foreign representatives for their support over the years. In addition to Li Chang's statement, many ministerial-level officials of the Communist Party also made statements to foreign companies. Especially Apple's senior executive Cook, who frequently met with Communist Party officials. Minister of Commerce Wang Wentao said in a forum speech that foreign companies are not guests, but family members and that the Ministry of Commerce will provide first-class services. Wang Wentao also met with Apple CEO Tim Cook. On March 27, Director of the National Development and Reform Commission Zheng Jianhua met with a delegation led by Apple CEO Tim Cook. Zheng Jianhua reaffirmed the government's basic policy of opening to the outside world. On March 28, Chinese Vice President Han Zheng held talks with representatives of the Advisory Committee of the School of Economics and Management at Tsinghua University in Beijing. The committee's chairman, Apple CEO Tim Cook, and others were present. According to the Chinese government's 2023 Government Work Report, one of the priorities for this year's work includes making greater efforts to attract and utilize foreign investment.